なれる理由を知った僕を連れて進めどうしたって
Coming from the bottom, better move with caution. When I bring this out, final form, I'm a slave. When I pull up, get thunderclap, my slayers running back. Make sure these demons remember the name. I do them dirty like EU when I'm dead calm. Till I get hot, but I see through all your dead plots. I'm in the guys in these suit, cut your head off. Pull up with your demons, I'm making sure they next gone. Been like a pill on my lessons, breathing when I'm breath lost. That wrong, thinking that's my best shot. Flower guy, Hino, call me Kakada. Upper moon, lower moon, slay him like a hot shit out. Whirlpool flow, cause I'm trying to drip. Flash dance, leaving mans in a dry eclipse. They talk shit, see it, and it's coming out from inside your mouth. So tomorrow going out a bitch. I pull up when my slayers on a power trip. You come back, make sure you're going down again. Get thunderclap like a demon slayer alchemist. Protect the sis so they don't ever doubt the kid.
What's up, it is Grimshot here, back at it again with another what if. This is what if Deku had telekinesis. Izuku at birth was always looked down on because his hair was black and eyes were naturally black, and it said people who have both are going to become villains, making everyone hate the newborn. Izuku didn't get many good things in his life. He sometimes didn't get food, so he had to steal money from people to survive, but Inko didn't let him even sleep inside the house. She didn't want a monster in her home, but this is the reason why Izuku hates humanity. He kept on stealing more and more, until one day where he was captured and found guilty of stealing. Izuku was then taken to the woods where Inko and Hisashi tried to kill Izuku by pushing him off a mountain, but it didn't. Izuku survived. At this point Izuku was 6. He had no quirk, no family, no friends, no home, no one he could trust, but there was one man who found him. He had white hair, a nice business suit, and a kind face, and he said to Izuku, "Oh my, who would ever leave something this precious in a forest? Can I have your name, little one?" Izuku looks at the man with fire in his eyes, saying, "Piss off, I don't need your help or sympathy. I can't trust anyone, so fucking die already." The man tells Izuku, "Dear boy, I know you don't need my help, but what if I help you? I can give you power to kill your enemies, to destroy the ones who have wronged you, and to make them see their mistake." Izuku would say, "I want the power, give it to me and I'll do anything as long as I can kill them all for one." Would smile and grabs Izuku's head. Then Izuku would feel a weird feeling in his hands. Izuku's hair started floating in the air, and little rocks and pebbles did as well. All for one said, "Kid, follow me, I will teach you how to use your quirk. I've also given you a barrier creation quirk. I will teach you how to use it. Think of, and a barrier will appear around you, then a barrier will appear." So Deku thought of the barrier, see a barrier protecting him, and Deku said, "Wow, I'm going to kill my parents now, thanks old man." All for one said, "Kid, one last gift. Think of your parents, then it will take you to them." Then Deku would be home and he would overhear his parents talking about him. Inko would say, "Finally that brat is gone. I've always hated that damn devil." Izuku would take both their wallets with telekinesis, and he would think of a barrier. Then he thought of himself behind Inko, then broke her neck. Then he spat on her, saying, "I've always hated you." Then he thought of Hisashi, and he would appear behind him with a barrier and said, "I'm going to keep you alive. Now call the police and say my wife got murdered when I got home, and say it was by a telekinesis quirk, and say I think because there was no one at the crime scene." Hisashi did exactly what Izuku told him to do. After that Izuku then said, "You will pay me every week for now on." Then he would think of all for one and he would appear next to him. Izuku was really happy about the death of his mother, asking all for one for more power. He needs something to destroy cities. All for one would say, "Well then guess I have to give you something stronger." All for one gave him 2 more quirks, one multitask and a weapon creation quirk, and he would tell Izuku, "I couldn't give you more than 2 quirks. First one is called multitask and the second is called weapon creation quirk. Multitask allows you to do more than before. Normally you can't use 2 quirks at once, but now you can, and the weapon creation quirk allows you to create any weapon from your imagination as long as you know how to use it and fix it." Izuku would start training with all of his quirks, so much it was like nothing for him. He has been training since he was 6, and at this point in the story he is 15. Izuku would take a walk under a bridge, and then he saw something green pass by him. Then he saw the sludge villain. The sludge villain said, "Give me your body, kid," and Izuku would say, "Weakling, leave me alone," and just use his telekinesis to make him into a ball, saying this could be useful to master. At that time All Might shows up, saying, "Do not fear." Why? Because I am here. Izuku looks at All Might, thinking piece of shit, but All Might said, "Oh, you already captured him. That is amazing, young boy. Please hand over the villain so I can take him to the police station. Izuku had no choice but to hand over the villain because Deku knew he couldn't defeat All Might at this moment. He was way too weak, but when Izuku touched All Might's hand he could feel All Might's quirk saying to himself, I want his quirk. Maybe Master can help me. But after All Might got the sludge villain he got ready to jump. As he did, he dropped the sludge villain, and as it landed in an alleyway when an ashy blonde-haired suicide bomber was kicking the bottle and freeing the sludge villain, Izuku after some time had gone, he heard a loud explosion. He was thinking, that looks interesting, I guess there's some fun to be had. As Izuku arrives he see the sludge villain with a blonde boy inside blowing up everyone that got close. So Izuku said, guess the heroes aren't good at their jobs, as Izuku uses his telekinesis, grabbing the blonde shit out of the sludge villain, and then he lifted the sludge and again made him a ball. All Might saw Izuku's heroic soul and said to himself, that's my new successor. Izuku was told by the pro heroes that it was seriously dangerous and he shouldn't have done anything. Izuku just said, you couldn't do your job, so I did it for you, be grateful. They couldn't arrest a child, but they believed that the black pigment in his eyes and hair was just a trick of the light. But after Izuku had left, Bakugo told them about the black sheep. Izuku Midoriya, he had disappeared without a trace at 6, but his hair and eyes are really black, and the heroes helping there informed all hero schools about a black pigmented eye and haired boy named Izuku Midoriya, and all hero schools banned him because of the fact of black hair and eyes means he will become a villain. All Might knows it's bullshit, so on his way back to the base All Might said, I am here. Izuku thinking, great, now this nut job is here. All Might would say to Izuku, young boy, I know what you did. You moved without hesitation and helped that blonde boy, so I would love to pass on my quirk to you. Izuku would say, don't play around with a future villain like me, I'm not stupid, there's no way to pass on quirks. All Might would then say, in normal situations yes, but my quirk is called one for all, and All Might would tell Izuku all about his quirk. As Izuku was thinking, one for all, isn't that the quirk Master All for One made? As All Might would say, and I want to pass it on to you, young man, so do you accept my quirk or not? Izuku, knowing this will make All for One happy, says, I would love to get your quirk. I could become the best hero in the world with it, holding back the vomit in his throat as All Might told him to meet him at Dekuba Beach the next day for training. But when he got back to the base he asked Kurogiri where is Master, as Kurogiri opened a portal saying he is in his room waiting for you. As Izuku walks into the portal saying, Master, I have great news that might make you happy. As All for One said, then come here and tell me the news. Izuku walks in front of All for One sitting down saying, All Might said that he wants me to have his quirk, and I believe you know the quirk already. As All for One would start clapping saying, well, I guess I'll give you my quirk first then, so I can beat All Might to it. As Izuku would say, what? As All for One would grab Izuku's head, forcing in his quirk, making Izuku evil as no other. But when All for One was done he didn't think about what Izuku would do right after, as Izuku grabs All for One's head, taking all of his quirks, every one of them, leaving him quirkless. But Izuku made sure to leave him alive, as All for One now knows what he has done all this time. As Izuku told both Kurogiri and Ujiko about quirkless All for One, and they would keep him as a pet in the League of Villains because of him being the #1 villain. But the next day at Dekuba Beach All Might was waiting for him, as Izuku would pretend that he was nice still, and All Might would say, hello there young boy, I remember I never asked for your name young boy. Izuku would say, my name is Izuku Midoriya. All Might would smile at Izuku, and seeing how muscular Izuku is, so he tells him, I was going to have you clean the beach to get my quirk, but you might handle it, but now I'm gonna make you at least clean half the beach before I give it to you. As Izuku had to clean the beach with his brute strength alone. After 3 months Izuku was done with half the beach. As All Might would say, good job young Midoriya, now you deserve my quirk, as he picks one of his hairs of his head, and All Might says, eat this. As Izuku looks at the hair saying, am I a fucking joke to you? As All Might would say, no, you need to eat some of my DNA to gain the quirk, I'm not trying to trick you. As Izuku would just eat the hair like a boss. As All Might would say, wait for the hair to digest. So the next few days Kurogiri and Ujiko notices that Izuku was acting nicer, but not too nice. So after the 10 months Izuku would have been done with cleaning the beach and defeat All Might over 43 times. Izuku could get up to 48% of one for all, and He had all the quirks, but at UA Izuku tried to join the hero course, but he wasn't allowed to even enter. The same thing happened in every hero course. School All Might tried everything to help Izuku, but nothing happened, it never worked. Izuku, saddened by this, decided to talk to his goons about getting into UA. They all said you could become an anti-hero. Izuku would say, you know what, yeah, fuck UA, fuck all the hero schools, we will be anti-heroes with. That said, the League of Anti-Heroes were born.